And a happy Monday morning to you. Before we start this lesson, just want to let you know that this is our last week with our Module 6. We'll be doing an exercise today, Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday we'll review for the quiz, and Friday will be the Module 6 quiz. Also want to remind you that any late assignments, the absolute deadline is next Wednesday, May 13th. Anything I receive after May 13th will not count. So that is when things must absolutely have to be in. Obviously, you want to turn them in on time, so you don't have to worry about getting things done at the last minute. So pseudocode, what is that? We've talked about algorithms. We've taken that algorithm and created a flow chart. Now basically we're going to take what could be an algorithm and actually write it in pseudocode. Pseudocode is similar to computer code, but in English language. Sometimes people who are writing code will first write out their code in pseudocode just to make sure that everything works properly, that they have the right functions, and everything comes out in the end the way that they want it to prior to actually writing it in code. It's also a good way to show others what your code is going to look like because it is written in just regular English language. And then you can also make sure that all the parts of the puzzle are there. So there's really not a specific way that pseudocode has to be written. What we're going to look at today are just some widely recognized notations. We have input, which is what the user inputs into the computer. The output is what the computer outputs onto the screen. We have some loops here. We have a while loop. A while loop is a loop that will continue on indefinitely until a particular condition is met. Then it'll jump out of the loop. A for loop goes on for a specific number of times that is predetermined. That loop can happen 5 times, 100 times, 5,000 times, but it is predetermined how many times that part of the program loops. Repeat until, similar to a while loop, that the loop will repeat until a certain condition is met. And then finally we have an if-then-else statement. We'll see what that looks like in a minute. Basically, that is if this happens, then that will occur, or else something else will occur. If it's raining, then you must bring your umbrella, or else you'll get wet. So the example that I had back on slide 15, when we were first talking about algorithms and flowcharts, we had this one, this flowchart here, where we had the input was what is the best subject. If the answer is computer science, then yes, the output is of course. If not, the output is try again. So if I took that flowchart and wrote it in pseudocode, it would look like this. We have a start, just like we do with our flowcharts, a start and a stop. The output, which is what the computer outputs onto the screen. The output is what is the best subject you take. The input is best subject. Now, we could write input, computer science input, gym input, lunch, whatever you think is the best subject that you're taking. But what I did here, and we're going to do this in the exercise, is create what's called a variable. A variable is just something that holds the information. The variable is written in camel case, which means that it's 2 words put together, and the first letter of the second word is capitalized. It's called camel case because it has a hump in the middle like a camel. It does not begin with an uppercase. We're not going to worry about camel case, at least not in today's lesson, but I just wanted to introduce that to you. So this is just a variable. Again, a variable is just something, anything, that will contain, that will hold the information that the user is inputting. So the input into this variable, best subject. If best subject equals computer science, then the output is, of course it is. Or else, the output is try again, and then it loops back. So that's just a basic pseudocode of that flowchart. A few things about pseudocode. You want to have 1 statement per line. Express each statement or action on its own line. And also you want to focus on the meaning. Write what the program will do. Don't write how to program it. So don't put in tips on how the code should be written. Just write exactly how the program will function. So this is the exercise 4 in Unified Classroom. In that assignment, you'll find a document called Pseudocode Lab 1. So you're going to read the instructions on the Google Doc. We'll do that together in just a minute. You're gonna write the pseudocode out right on the Google Doc after each task. There are 5 different tasks for you to accomplish, and I'm gonna do the first one for you so you can see how to do it. And then also make sure that you're writing prompts and outputs correctly, and I'll show you what I mean by that, but it is explained in the instructions. And this assignment is due tonight, Monday, May the 4th. Be with you. Okay, so we're here in Unified Classroom. There you see exercise 4, pseudocode. Click on that, open up the document. Here we have some instruction again about pseudocode. I want to point out a few things about the prompts. A prompt is something that the computer prompts the user to do. A prompt is what shows up on the computer screen. So make sure the prompt is written in a full sentence and in a way that the user knows exactly what to do. Always include a prompt in your pseudocode when you do the output. You'll see what that means in a minute. Also, the output should also be a complete sentence, not just a value. So if the output was $560, you wouldn't just put that on the screen. That doesn't make sense. It's not in context. To put it in context, there would be information along with that. The total calculated building cost is $560. So we'll see examples of that when we work through the first task. Here is one example. Just want to look through. Again, we have our start and our stop. Those are important. We have the output, which is the computer outputs the user to do something. What is your favorite number? The user inputs fav number. Remember I talked about this is a variable. And that variable can contain anything. We don't want to hard code a number in here. We don't want to put 5 if 5 is your favorite number, because for the next person it may not be 5. So it has to be something that varies. So it could be a 5, it could be a 50, it could be 672, or it could be 42. So we're going to input our favorite number here. What the computer then does is a calculation. It has another variable called double fun, because what this program does is doubles your favorite number, and we're calling that variable double fun. So double fun equals your favorite number times 2. So we have an output. The computer outputs a command on the screen for you to do. We have an input where the user inputs a value. The computer then calculates the double of your favorite number, so double fun equals favorite number, fav number times 2. And then the computer will output double your fun is, meaning double your favorite number is double fun, because we know that double fun equals your favorite number times 2. Then stop. The thing about pseudocode and code in general is you have to think very, very logically. You have to make sure that each step makes sense in a logical sense. So if we're going to have the output, what is your favorite number, then we're going to input what our favorite number is. And our favorite number is that variable. Again, it could be any number. This can vary. Another variable, which is double fun, which is going to be our answer, is what the user inputted times 2. And then the output, what the computer outputs onto the screen, double your fun is, so that's in quotes because that's actual text. And then it's going to add to it, using the plus sign, this variable, which could be, if my favorite number was 5, double fun would be 10. So let's work through the first one. First of all, you're going to insert your work right here in this document. When you submit it, make sure you carefully check your work and all 5 tasks are done. I'm going to do the first one with you. So, task 1, a program where the user enters the price of a purchase and the program computes the output and outputs the 5% sales tax. Don't forget the prompt. So we're going to have start. I'm not going to worry about indentations right now. For this exercise, we'll just worry about making sure you're getting all the elements of the pseudocode. So we have output, which is what the computer's outputting. Output, what is the price of your purchase? Then the user will input that price. And we'll create a variable. We'll call it, how about item price? So the computer is asking for what is the price of the purchase. The user inputted that purchase price into this variable called item price. Now we have to do a computation, because remember, the whole purpose of this task is for the computer to compute and give you what the 5% sales tax is. So sales tax, that's another variable, equals what? Item price times 0.05, 5%. So we have a variable here where we put in the price. It could be $100. The sales tax equals $100 times 5%. And then the computer outputs the sales tax of your purchase is, end quotes, and then we add on that variable. And then we stop. So again, the reason we're using variables is because the item price could be anything. And because the item price could be anything, that means the sales tax would be different. The item price, if it's $5, the sales tax will not be the same as if the item price was $100. So that's why we use variables. So anybody can use this program, and no matter what they put in as their item price, the sales tax will always be correct. If I put in the actual price of $100, then the sales tax will be $5, correct? 5%. But if somebody else used this program and their purchase price was $200, they're still going to get the sales tax of $5 because this $100 is hard-coded in there. So that's why we have to use a variable where no matter what they put in here, the sales tax will still be recorded or calculated correctly. So task 2 is a program for calculating the area of square feet. So the user inputted item price, so one thing. For this one, the user will actually have two inputs, height and width. Remember, for every line on pseudocode, every line should have its own function. So the user input for the height will be one line, the user input of width will be another. This one is home maintenance costs for each of the 4 seasons. So there are 4 separate inputs, separate prompts and inputs for each input value. So this one we had 1 input, this one we have 2, this one we have 4. This fourth one, program that calculates the difference between 2 numbers. So the user will input 2 random numbers and the program will subtract one from the other. And then this fifth one, this one is a little bit tricky and you might run into some trouble. A program where the user enters a credit card balance and the program calculates the interest at 17% monthly. Assume the user does not make another payment and then display the interest due after 1 month and then again after 2 months. So the user will input the credit card balance. The computer will calculate what the interest payment for that credit card balance is at 17%. And then it's also going to calculate what the second month will be. And a little clue here, the second month will actually be the credit card balance plus the interest rate from the first month. Because if the credit card balance was $100, the interest due is going to be $17. That means the new balance is $117. So now the computer will calculate the next interest rate for the second month. So it'll calculate 17% of $117, not just $100. So a little bit of a clue there to help you with that one. Again, this is due Monday. If you have any questions, any problems, especially with that last one, please let me know. Thanks.